Hello everyone, thank you for checking out this video. I hope you like today's tutorial for Hanabi. Hanabi is one of the most lethal marksmen given the chance she makes it into the late game. In fact, if you build her right, she may prove most useful during mid-game as well. Hanabi has been climbing up the popularity ladder through the past couple of months, which proves how reliable she is. So, what are we waiting for? Let's start with her skill descriptions. First skill is the passive and its name is Equinox. Hanabi's passive starts working when she's at full HP. Whenever you lifesteal, a portion of 60% of your lifesteal ratio will go to build a shield that stacks over her HP. This shield acts against any crowd control effects as long as it's up and gives her extra movement speed as well. Beware though, if a crowd control skill deals enough damage to take the whole shield down in one hit, crowd control effects will still land on her. Piece of advice, better be careful. Now let's move on to her first skill. First skill name is Petal Barrage. This skill basically has two effects. First effect is passive, which basically grants you lifesteal on your basic attacks, and it increases whenever you level up the skill. Second effect causes your basic attacks to bounce between enemies at a reduced damage of 25% on each bounce. This skill is actually a big part of why Hanabi is so scary when enemies are grouped together. It's not mentioned anywhere, but know that activating the first skill slightly reduces her attack speed due to the cast animation. Now let's move to her second skill, which is the Soul Scroll. This skill is very good for dealing damage in the early game, slowing enemies, and replenishing your mana. For every target the scroll hits, the target is slowed, and the hit gives you an amount of mana depends on how much you leveled the skill up. It's particularly useful in early game where mana is not very fast to go on. So make sure you aim it manually, as the skill projectile is relatively slow and can easily be dodged. Now let's move on to her ultimate skill. Ultimate skill, Higambana. This skill might be a little complicated the first time you read it and a little hard to master, but good timing makes the skill so scary. The first target the skill hits is immobilized for 2 seconds. Afterwards, the skill will bloom to spread to any nearby enemies within a range of the original target. Secondary blooms have the same effect but lower spread range. The cycle will repeat until there are no enemies in range of the bloom. Be aware that each target can only be hit with the ultimate effect once. It's always a good idea to wait till the fight starts before casting the skill, as if it's casted as an initiation, the enemies will simply stay away till the effect is gone. Now that we've covered her skills, let's move on to the preferred builds. First item I would prefer is the Swift Boots. Attack speed is always welcome on Hanabi as she is a basic attack type marksman. Next would be Berserker's Fury. Starting with this item will give you decent physical attack and critical chance and damage of course, which gets Hanabi out of the useless early game marksman phase. I would highly recommend starting with this one as it's very useful at the beginning of the game. Next would be the Scarlet Phantom. Scarlet Phantom serves as an additional increase to her critical chance to proc Windtalker, which will be built afterwards more often and gives of course a much needed additional attack speed. Now let's move to the next one, which is the Windtalker. Another item to add to her critical build and also for the splash effect that is granted by default from the item. It stacks well with her original bounce and gives an additional magical damage, which is highly welcome as well. Not to mention the extra movement speed that stacks with her passive and with her original movement speed that comes from the boots. Now let's move on to the utility items. first I would recommend the Blade of Despair. If your attack is not taking enemies fast enough, Blade of Despair will basically skyrocket your damage and give you an additional movement speed boost, which is of course highly welcome. Next is Sea Halberd, which gives Hanabi the ability to live drain. Of course, as she bounces through all enemies, everyone will be affected by it. It's a very good choice when you're versus a healer like Hestis, Rafaela, or Ruby. Next is the Wind of Nature. It's very useful when you're facing basic attack assassins like Natalia or Leslie. Gives you enough time to retaliate or retreat. Next in line would be Hunter Strike. This item is actually very good when it comes to giving you an attack damage boost, decent penetration, and its unique passive which gives you a ton of movement speed every set of time, so you can basically either chase the enemy or retreat. Next is Malefic Roll, which is very useful when it comes to playing against rock hard tanks like Gatokacha or Grok. Next is Rose Gold Meteor, which adds a little magic resistance and gives you a little bit more life steal, and of course the shield that stacks over a short period of time. Next in line is Brute Force Breastplate, which is useful when you're targeted a lot and could use some protection. Last but not least is Athena's Shield, which is a must-have when you're faced by heavy magic damage hitters like Karina, Harley, and stuff like that. Use any of these two items at your own disposal depending on the situation of the game. Now let's put the gained information to test in battle. As you can see, I would recommend starting off with the Soul Scroll as it's more useful in both regaining mana, poking enemies, and last hitting minions. My first objective will be to complete the boots and then start with the Berserker's Fury. The sooner I'm done with that, the better my situation will be in battle. I'll make use of being with a support hero like Estes in this case and harass the enemies as much as I can. While that is possible when you have a support hero or some hero that can give you a better edge in battle at the beginning of the game, if not, I would recommend prioritizing last hitting minions and obtaining gold as much as you can while harassing enemies optionally. Remember, the more you harass enemies, the more you will get an edge on them. Each and every single minion that you deny the enemies increases the gap between yourself and them. So always bear that in mind. Further harassing enemies at the early game will give a better advantage on the long run. Remember to always hit the gold shield on the turret as soon as you get the chance, as it will give you a very good gold boost at the beginning. And also bear in mind that the shield only lasts for the first 5 minutes of the game, so the sooner you take it down, the better. Further harassing enemies for maximum advantage. I would strongly recommend against rotation and ganking in the early game, especially when playing with a Marksman, as your firepower will not be that much and you'll only be wasting time and resources. It's better off to stay in the gold lane, kill as many minions as you can, and try to participate in many kills or any kills that come to your lane. As you can see here, a properly placed ultimate helped me get a kill. Now that I got Berserker's Fury, now would be a good time to retreat and start rotating and ganking enemies. Next item I'd go for would be either Windtalker if I have the advantage in the mid game, or Scarlet Blade if I want to go for a more steady build. I'd recommend you go for the Windtalker because proccing magic damage along with the physical attack will be a very advantageous in the mid game. If not, and the enemy has higher advantage over you, I'd recommend going for the Scarlet Phantom as it increases the attack speed, which will give more steady DPS. Keeping the pressure on enemies so that we can gain more and more advantage and start snowballing the game into victory. So close. As you can see here, Hanabi's shield prevented this stun from Gopher's first skill, so that I managed to retreat to a safe distance and kept attacking. If not for the shield, I would have definitely been stunned. Like every good dream, this tree comes to an end. Another well-timed and placed ultimate almost got their marksman killed. My auto attack kept aiming for the crab for no particular reason. Sorry about that. As you can see here, I saw Saber going for the turtle, so I decided to disrupt his peaceful farm. Little decisions like this always make a difference. Once again, so close. As you can see, I didn't have the shield, so I certainly got caught in Kufr's crowd control. I'd always recommend stacking up Hanabi's shield whenever you get the chance, and almost never going into battle without having the shield up. Keeping the pressure on all lanes at all times will certainly help distract enemies. Again, another close encounter that could have been much worse thanks to the crowd control skills. I certainly could have finished the game right here and now, but that's just me being greedy. I wonder, where did Vale go? Now that I get another chance to finish the game, I'm not gonna fall for the same mistake twice. And that's one victory in the bag. Let me thank you so much for staying this far, and I hope you liked today's content. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so that you can get more content coming your way. Thank you again for watching, and see you soon. Signing out.